Miller's Tire and Auto Care. Need to hire experienced technicians, oil change, tire technician, tow truck drivers, exceptional benefits and pay. Drop your resume off at Miller's Tire on the Big Hill Avenue location. 4 high schools, 7 middle schools, 1 college, and a university, and much more. Now introducing your most comprehensive weekly local sports show in Madison County, the Richmond Register Sports Show. The Richmond Register Sports Show is brought to you by MetroNet, superfast internet, simply a better connection. Total Comfort, heating and air conditioning. Let Total Comfort keep you cool or warm this winter. Call for service or for a free replacement quote. Wynn's Auto Detailing Service. Platinum Roofing, Solar and Green Solutions. Voted Richmond's best roofer 7 years in a row. And by kymedia.net, digital media solutions on your terms. Here's your host for all things local sports, the Richmond Register sports editor, Nathan Hutchison.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Richmond Register Sports Show. My name is Nathan Hutchinson. I'm the sports editor of the Richmond Register, and as always, we appreciate you tuning us in this week. Coming up in just a few minutes, we have 2 special video segments that we filmed earlier this week. On Wednesday, Randy and I were over at Madison Central for the 2nd annual Madison County Free Throw Challenge, which of course is organized by Travis Lynch and the Gilman Group. 2nd straight year we've done it. It's a very fun event. A lot of money goes to a lot of different charities because of this. And Travis does a great job with it, so hang on for that, and you get to find out who won. If you didn't, we kind of told you earlier this week, but if you haven't seen it, you'll find out who won. And then after that, we're going to have Sam Herder of Hero Sports. He covers the FCS nationally football-wise, and we talked to him on Friday afternoon, and he gave us kind of a broader perspective on what's going on with EKU and the EKU and the ASUN and the WAC, and kind of what the possibilities are about EKU and the ASUN WAC conglomeration going up to FBS football. But that's coming up in a bit. But as always, we like to start off the show with a recap of the week that was in Madison County sports. And I think it's pretty safe to say the biggest story around these parts this week was the unbelievable run that the EKU men's basketball team had at the CBI tournament down in Daytona Beach, the College Basketball Invitational. The Colonels had to play 4 games in 4 days. They got to the championship game by winning in overtime, and double overtime. And then when they got to the championship game, came up just a little bit short, 71-68, but the Colonels finished 23-14, third most wins in school history. And what an amazing run it was. I know a lot of folks at the beginning of the week, I know they played their first game Sunday at 11 a.m., so I'm sure a lot of folks were like, what is the CBI and what is that thing? And where is it being played? What is it? But I think their play definitely caught the attention of a lot of folks here in Madison County, and it was spectacular and just kind of a heroic effort to get to the championship game there in the end. But it was Charlotte beating EKU 71-68 on Wednesday. And even in this game, I mean, this is an amazing story. EKU playing for the 4th time in 4 days, like I said, just dog-tired. Get down by 21 points. Devontae Blanton's on the bench with a knee injury. And despite being down by 21 points, they get this thing back to a point in the final seconds. And they had 2 chances on 3-pointers to tie this game in the final minute, but were not able to do that. And Charlotte held on for the victory. But Isaiah Cozart and Devontae Blanton both named to the all-tournament team because they were absolutely amazing in this tournament. Cozart, 18 points, 11 rebounds, average in the 4 games. He had a career-high 31 points in the win over Southern Utah. Devontae Blanton averaged 19.5 points, and even though he missed most of the second half of that championship game, there's certainly no way the Colonels get to the title game of that thing without Blanton and Cozart playing the way they did. So, like I said, 23-14, third most wins in school history. A lot of momentum building off of this victory, and the Colonels are set to return. Pretty much everybody but Michael Wardy and Cooper Robb. Michael Marino said he is coming back, but of course with the situation with the transfer portal and everything, it's hard to know who will actually come back. But if the Colonels can get this group coming back next year, could be in for even more special moments. So congratulations to A-Dub and the Colonels as they get all the way to the CBI championship game. All right, well, we'll switch our attention to high school softball. And through the first 2 weeks of the season, we only have one undefeated team left in Madison County. It is the Madison Central Lady Indians, 5-0. They picked up 3 wins this past week, all at home. Monday, 13-4 over West Jessamine. Tuesday, 9-5 over Rockcastle. And then on Thursday, 13-3 over Franklin County. Through 5 games this season, the Lady Indians have outscored their opponents 68-15, and they have outhit their opponents 72-24. 8 homers as well through the first 5 games of the season, those coming by 6 different players. Cassidy Hack and Jasmine Kaler both homered against Franklin County to give them both 2 home runs on the year, tied for the team lead. But the Lady Indians have been absolutely pummeling the softball and racking up the wins. They've reached double figures in every game this season except for that Rockcastle County game when they finished with 9 runs. But back in action Monday at home against Estill County. What a crazy busy week for the Madison Southern Lady Eagles softball team. Monday, a 10-3 loss at home to Scott County. Tuesday, a 27-0 win at Danville. Wednesday, a 16-3 loss at home to Scott County. Then on Thursday, a 9-8 9-inning win at home over Rockcastle County. And then on Saturday, down in a little tournament in Somerset, they picked up a 4-2 win over Southwestern and suffered a 10-9 loss at Somerset. So crazy busy week for the Lady Eagles. But in the win over Danville, it was Alexis Keener with a home run as the Lady Eagles pounded out 12 hits. And the game against Rockcastle County was really the highlight of the week. Crazy game where Southern battled back to get the thing to extra innings. Rockcastle scored twice in the top of the 8th inning. The Lady Eagles scored twice in the bottom of the 8th inning to keep the game alive. Then Rockcastle scored twice more again in the top of the 9th inning. And the Lady Eagles scored 3 times in the bottom of the 9th to pick up the win, highlighted by an Alexis Keener 2-run walk-off single. So 4-4 on the season for the Lady Eagles, and they're back in action Monday at home against Tate's Creek. Model softball team opened its season this past week with 3 straight home games. Monday, a 22-10 loss to Paris. Tuesday, a 15-5 loss to Williamsburg. And on Wednesday, in the opening round of the 11th Region All-A Classic, that was a 12-1 loss to LCA. So Model 0-3 on the season, and they're back in action Monday down in Berea against Berea Community. And speaking of Berea Community, they had a pair of games last week, both on the road, and both those suffering losses. On Tuesday, 18-8 loss at Powell County, and then on Wednesday, a 9-1 loss to Frankfort in the opening round of the 11th Region All-A Tournament up here in Richmond. In the loss to Powell County, it was Isaiah Carver with a home run, and Paige Johnson had 3 hits as well. 0-4 on the season, and like we just told you, back in action Monday at home against Model. High school baseball, kind of a limited schedule this week for some of the teams because of the weather. Madison Central got in just 2 games. Monday, a 10-0 loss to Sayre up in Lexington. And then on Tuesday, a crazy 18-10 win at home over North Laurel, where they were up 13-1, and North Laurel scored a bunch of runs to extend it. It looked like it was going to be a run rule game, but they kept it alive. But in the win over North Laurel was Bradley Pointer, 2 for 3, 2 runs scored and 2 RBIs, and Drew Hess, 2 for 3, scored a pair of runs as well. 4-1 on the season for the Indians. They're back in action Monday at home against Montgomery County. The Madison Southern baseball team picked up its first victory of the season this past week, but 3 games overall. On Monday, a 5-4 loss at home to North Laurel. Tuesday, a 13-2 win at home over Jackson County. And then on Thursday, a 3-2 loss at home to Montgomery County. In the win over Jackson County, it was Caleb Cobb with the complete game victory. 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, and Landon No had 5 RBIs. And then in the loss to Montgomery County, Landon No was 2 for 3. Model baseball team opened its season this past week with 4 games. Started off with a pair of losses. Tuesday, 13-12 on the road to Frankfort in the opening round of the 11th Region All-A. Then on Thursday in Owingsville, an 8-0 loss at Bath County. But then on Saturday, they went up to Northern Kentucky and picked up a pair of wins. 13-10 over Bellevue, and then 13-3 over Covington Latin. The first 2 wins in the career of Sam Sutton as the head coach at Model. But against Bellevue, Beckett Parker Noblet, 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBIs. And then against Covington Latin, Jackson Brown with 3 RBIs and scored 3 times. 2-2 on the season, and the Patriots are back in action Tuesday at Williamstown. Berea Community fell to 0-4 this week with 3 losses, all of them on the road. 9-4 on Monday at Bath County, 11-0 on Tuesday at Lincoln County. And then on Thursday in the opening round of the 11th Region All-A Classic, a 12-2 loss to LCA up in Lexington. Pirates back in action on Monday at Garrett County. Lacrosse news, the Madison Mavericks had a pair of games last week and picked up a pair of victories. On Tuesday, 11-9 over Dunbar down at Madison Southern, and then on Friday, 14-10 over Lafayette up in Lexington. In the win over Dunbar, it was Everett King and David Pennington with 3 goals each. And then on Friday against Lafayette, it was David Pennington with 7 goals. 3-1 on the season for the Mavericks. They're back in action Tuesday at Sayre. And on Friday night down in North Carolina, Madison Central senior Kiara O'Shea competed against collegiate runners in the Raleigh Relays, and she finished 27th overall in the 5,000-meter race. But that's not the story. The story here is her time of 16:23.67 is the fastest 5,000-meter mark ever posted by a high school girl in the state of Kentucky. And it's also one of the fastest in the nation this year for any high school girl. But this was a field full of full of collegiate racers, and so I feel like we talk about her every week, but she just does amazing things, and we have to keep highlighting her because she just deserves it, and she's so amazing. So once again, congratulations to Kiara O'Shea for another record. I mean, it's just, we could just do a Kiara O'Shea segment every week, and that'd be fine with me. Well, on Saturday here in Richmond, some high school tennis action. We had the Madison Central Invitational. It was moved indoors over to the Greg Adams Tennis Center on the EKU campus. And in the team competitions, it was Models Girls taking the overall title, beating out Madison Central. And in the boys competition, it was Dunbar and Model splitting the boys team title. They finished with the same amount of points. But on the girls' side, it was Central's J.C. Wilson taking the singles title, and the doubles championship went to Lily Mead and Kate Connolly of Model. And then on the boys' side, the team champs, the singles champ was Model's David Tofen, who battled back from a set down to win in a third set tiebreaker. And in the doubles action, Models Keshav Bendari and Colin Lair were the runners-up. So lots of good stuff to tell you about, and if Mother Nature cooperates, it's going to be a busy week around here. But we like it that way. The more the better. So, well, stick with us because we're going to head on over to, we're going to flash back to Wednesday and go over to Madison Central for the 2nd annual Madison County Free Throw Championships.
Hello, I'm Harrison Parkhurst from Model Lab School. And for my charity, I chose Model Lab Athletics because for the last 5 years, I have been supported and through model sports, and it's been a massive impact on my life and who I am now.
Will Richardson. I go to Madison Central High School. My charity is actually Central because I see kids every day who are struggling, obviously probably don't have much at home, and that they rely on school food and stuff, and I thought a little bit of money could probably help them.
I'm Zach Hudson. I'm from Madison Southern. I'm a junior. I picked the Humane Society because I've always been a believer in loving dogs, so I want to help as many of them as I can. Try and find homes and stuff, that way they're not on the streets and people just driving by them.
My name is Cannon Cummins. I go to Berea Community, and my charity is Great Commission Church. And I picked this charity because God is just very important in my life. He's number one always. And I feel like using these funds towards my church will help grow my love for God.
My name is Finley Blevins, and I go to Berea Community, and I chose the Do It for Dustin charity. The reason I chose it is because I kind of know the people very well, and I believe the story is that they lost their son a year or two back, and so they kind of just raised a charity to make money for kind of things that he enjoyed, so other kids that maybe don't have the money for it can have the things like abilities to do it. Like last year, I was in this contest, and the money I gained from the contest, we used it to buy a mountain bike, and we gave it to we took it to every school. So we took one to Ferristown, Foley, and Berea Middle School, and they all wrote, I can't remember, they wrote something, and the winner from each school got a mountain bike, and we used the money to help buy one of those. So that's the reason I chose Do It for Dustin.
season. I kind of hate to do it after the season like this, but coach is making it hard on me during the season. I can't hardly get to him. So, Coach, thank you so much for helping us out and all the other coaches. But I have a lot of churches in my life, a lot of people in my life who help me do this stuff. I don't have a job. I got the greatest job in the world. I get to just love on people, and people help me do that. And so part of what we're trying to do for you all is to help you all know that you need to give back too. And so that's what we're doing today. The money, each person here, depending on where they finished, is going to get money to donate to a school, a church, or a nonprofit in their community. So I've always told them, you've been blessed to be a blessing. That's what it's about. Okay? So without further ado, thank you so much for everybody who participated. Randy, Nathan, thank you all so much for helping us out. I'll get when they get the video link to me, the live shot, I'll get it to you all, and you all can disseminate it amongst your friends, so you can see it. Okay, so $200 this year will go to Harrison Parkhurst. Okay, Harrison is chosen to put the athletic fund a model, and we'll get with him to take care of that. Okay. Next is Finley. All right, so Finley, if you'll come, the Davidsons, if you all come on out. So Finley, it's his second year in a row. He qualified, and so he chose to do it for Dustin nonprofit. The Davidsons had a tragic thing, loss of their son, and they're trying to do everything they can to bless the community and help them. And Finley has shot for them 2 years in a row. So last year is pretty awesome. This is really what it's about. The money he had that he earned through his shooting, he gives to them, and they turn around and get bikes for people and help them in the community, help other kids. So you all, here's for you all right here for Dustin. Right. Thank you guys so much. All right. All right, next is Cannon Cummins. Cannon is going to be community outreach, is that right?
Great Commission.
Great Commission Church. And I know HEE, so we'll be getting together on that one. All right, so you have $350 to them, okay? And then next is Zach. Zach, you went to Humane Society, so you and I'll get together. I'll get them a check in your name for $500. Coach, if you'll come forward. Hey, Coach has got a brainwash or something. I don't know. Somebody keeps coming back to him. So Coach is the winner from Central this year. Mr. Will Richardson shot 92%, and $700 goes back into the Madison Central basketball boosters. So
you should take advantage of that. He's here 3 more years.
Yeah, he gets to eat for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, hey, thank you so much, parents. Thank you. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something. For the parents that are here, any interaction I've had with these boys through text or whatever, you can tell they've been raised right. So thank you all very much. And for Ken, you're the only senior, right? Yeah. So everyone else is maybe again next year. All right. I'll be around the school. God willing, He gives us the money. We'll be there. All right. Thank you all so much.
All right, we're back with Will Richardson, the winner of the Madison County Free Throw Challenge, the second one of these we've ever done. 92%?
Yes, sir.
92%,
yes, sir.
Not too bad. You're just a freshman. Kind of, what were your thoughts coming into this thing?
I was a little nervous. I've been playing baseball for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Ever since the season ended, I've been playing
That's
baseball.
why the hair. The baseball players have already done.
Yeah,
their hair
we're going
for
to
the year.
Florida next week, so I'm looking forward to that. But I was a little nervous, not too bad. I'm just shooting free throws.
You come in and get some extra shots up today or anything, or you just kind of come in here and wing it?
I have been getting a few shots up here and there though. Not anything too serious.
Yeah. Well, like Travis was saying, come into an empty gym and do this. It's
it
kind
is.
of nerve-wracking.
It is kind of difficult, especially around kids from other schools. Pressure's on.
Who were you looking at there as your main competitor when you look at the rest of the field?
Going to Central, I'm going to think Southern's my main competitor. So Zach Hudson, he's probably my main competitor.
And of course, Coach, very happy that you picked Madison Central Athletics with $700 goes back into the,
yes, sir.
The athletic department here at Madison Central.
Yes, sir. Do what I can to. I didn't have $750 to give, so I'm happy we got that money to them. So. feels good.
All right, congratulations. And
Thank you.
maybe we'll
I
see you
appreciate
again
it.
next year.
Yes, sir. I hope.
We're back here with Travis Lynch of the Gilman Group, and the second year in a row we've done the Madison County Free Throw Challenge. A lot of fun, and you're doing a lot of great things for the community, and these kids are, like you said, trying to teach them to give back and just make a difference in the community.
Yeah, I think it's one thing that God put on my heart several years ago is to recognize excellence in our community, and one way is just through athletics and some other things that we do. But I'm a blessed person. I have people in my life, churches and individuals who bless me to bless other people. So we're just trying to give that back and help them learn how to pay it forward.
Yeah, like I said, second year of doing this, we're just going to keep rolling with this and doing it every year.
As long as the Lord provides the money, we're going to do it. And it's awesome being with these kids, and the coaches are really awesome in the community, and it's just it's a good opportunity just to get out and see the next generation of leaders coming up.
Yeah, and every year the kids pick a vast array of different charities, and it's really cool to see who they pick.
So they get to pick. The way I have them do is pay it forward, so they get to pick a church, a nonprofit, or a school in their community, and we donate in their name to them. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great that we had a couple of kids this year, and we had some last year too that want to give back to their school. It's awesome.
Yeah, Coach Feldhouse, he's got them trained pretty well. They're giving back to the Madison Central basketball boosters, so that's a good thing for them. But it great opportunity to do it for Dustin nonprofit. Does a great work in Berea. So Finley Blevins shot for them the last 2 years, and so it's just an honor to be able to help them out too.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a freshman thing, right? Did Finley win it last year as a freshman, and then or he finished second? He finished second.
Yeah.
And then
Will was the freshman this year, and so he wanted this year. I see he's got 3 more years.
Maybe the young guys don't feel the pressure of this. Maybe that's...
and I feel bad for Will and even like Zach from Southern, because they're playing baseball. You know what I'm saying? So it's 3 weeks. They're out of season, and so I really appreciate them coming in and just being on this stage and just doing their best. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a great event, and I appreciate you guys allowing us to be part of it. And we hope to keep doing it as long as you guys want to keep doing it.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for everyone that helps me. So hopefully we'll see y'all next year.
Well, that was a lot of fun, and congratulations to Will, the freshman. How about that, Randy? The freshman. The freshman getting the money, and Coach Feldhouse is very happy that money's staying back in the Madison Central basketball program. That's awesome, though. And great of Travis to do that every year. We really appreciate him. And appreciate him. He reached out to us last year and said, hey, you want to do this? You want to be part of it? And we were like, heck yeah. Sure. And so thanks. And let's just keep doing it every year. I'm all for it. So, well, on Friday afternoon, we had the rain coming in. We knew we were going to have a washout of a day. And for our nightly show that we do Monday through Friday, we wanted to have some content for you. So I buzzed Sam Herder, who works for Hero Sports. He's one of their FCS national writers. And I've been a lot of talk about EKU and its pursuit of FBS football, and of course back in December there was a lot of hype around an ESPN story, which kind of indicated that the ASUN and the WAC would permanently merge into a football-only conference, and that conference, the entire conference, would go up to the FBS, so there was a lot of hype around that. I think a lot of that has kind of cooled since then, but Sam had a great perspective and really gave us a little bit more of a broader view of all this. So here's our conversation with Sam Herder from Friday. All right, well, welcome back. Today we have a special guest. We're joined by Sam Herder from Hero Sports, the senior FCS analyst, and he's going to give us a little more perspective on what's going on with the ASUN WAC football conference. And it's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things across a wide berth of the nation. And Sam is a guy who covers this nationally. So welcome, Sam, and thanks for being on here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm looking forward to your perspective on this because everybody back in December saw the article ESPN put out about the basically ASUN and WAC coming together to form a football-only conference with the eventual goal of that entire conference going up to the FBS. And you recently had an interview with Matt Rohn on your podcast, and you've also talked to some other people. So kind of where do you kind of get the sense that this process is at this point?
I think the biggest takeaway from what I got from talking to Matt Rohn on the podcast, and something that I already had a feeling toward, was that while the aspirations are to somehow find a way to get to the FBS, the main focus right now is to try to become a legit football-only FCS conference to kind of secure that auto bid into the playoffs and have a governance structure, have one all-conference team, one schedule. Like, that's the main focus right now. And I think when that ESPN article came out, it obviously, it kind of made waves, across all of college football. But I think they, whoever spoke in that, the anonymous sources, whoever spoke on that probably came out too aggressive, saying we're going to be playing FBS football in, I think, 2024, 2025, whatever they said. I think since then they've kind of walked back and said, well, that we would like to do that, but right now our focus is just let's become a legit FCS conference.
Yeah, and that's so yeah, an ASUN WAC, just football only conference. So EKU would stay in the ASUN and every other sport. This would include a massive geographic footprint from Utah to Texas. The WAC teams are mostly in Utah and Texas, and so it's. But I guess it's kind of what's going on now. We see the OVC kind of merging with the Big South a little bit, kind of a partnership. So it seems like this is kind of the way things are going. But this is over a huge geographical footprint.
It is, yeah, and they've kind of been, I guess, somewhat hand in hand since, I think that was way back in January 2021 when the ASUN came out and said we're going to start an FCS football conference, and then the WAC came out and also said we're also going to start an FCS football restart a conference this time in the FCS, and they kind of did that at the same time, and they had the 1-year partnership in 2021, and then due to just realignment and bad timing, frankly, they had to redo their partnership in 2022. And I think both conferences probably saw the writing on the wall that it was going to be hard for each one individually to add, enough teams. When you're looking at, 4 members and 5 members and you're losing members, I think they both just said, well, let's continue this partnership, but let's create, a single sport FCS conference similar to the Missouri Valley Football Conference. They have some teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. They play their Olympic sports in the Summit League. Others played in the Missouri Valley Conference. So it'd be kind of it's the same concept as the Missouri Valley Football Conference that the ASUN and WAC are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, well, the ASUN kind of football experiment certainly has not worked out the way it would want to, and Ted Gumbert was kind of the main guy behind that. And of course, I think at the end of this academic year, he's walking away. So Matt Rohn famously said that he wanted the ASUN football to be the SEC of the FCS. But of course, like you said, Jacksonville State comes in and then almost immediately turns around and leaves. Kennesaw State leaves. Liberty, which didn't play football in the ASUN, but they still left as well. So this is certainly the ASUN only football league. Did never really got off the ground.
Yeah, and again, that kind of goes to the bad timing of right when realignment really started, when you lose Jacksonville State, and then a little bit later on Kennesaw State. I think initially when those two conferences came out and said they were going to start their own FCS conferences, I think people looked at the WAC and kind of said, okay, I'm not sure about that league, but the ASUN I think had massive potential when you look at the teams that they did have, from Central Arkansas, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, EKU. I think Austin Peay joined the mix like a year later. They were a typical FCS playoff team, and so I think they had at one point 6 members, and those were 6 strong members. You look at them and you go, okay, those are all of those members except for maybe North Alabama because they're still transitioning up. But 5 of those members were okay. These are pretty good FCS teams. Now, are any of them South Dakota State, North Dakota State, what James Madison was? No. And so, I think when you come out with statements that say, we want to be the best FCS conference, I think a lot of people around the FCS kind of maybe not even laughed at that, but maybe just scoffed at it a little bit, just because, you look at those teams and yeah, they were all solid, but, maybe not powers. But at the same time, I still think people viewed that group of 6 original teams and said, okay, they do have potential to be maybe not the best FCS conference, but, maybe a top 3, top 4 FCS conference. And then obviously, lose some members, hard to gain more members. The WAC was going through the same thing. And then it just, kind of came to what we're looking at now. Yeah.
And you mentioned Austin Peay, and it certainly seems like here recently they've been very vocal. They want to go FBS. I know EKU does as well, and they've been kind of chasing that for quite a while. But what are you hearing from the Austin Peay folks? I mean, it seems like they're pretty aggressive in this, and they've come out and really want to push it and want to go FBS as well.
Yeah, and I think timeline-wise, I think this is accurate. That the story came out, at the local paper that covers Austin Peay about their AD saying they want to go FBS, and then it kind of caught a lot of people off guard. But it was maybe a week, 2 weeks later, when the ESPN article came out that said, the ASUN WAC wants to go FBS as a whole. And so that's okay. That it makes sense why Austin Peay just kind of came out of nowhere and said that, because they're talking about this in the background. But yeah, the Austin Peay one was again interesting, because I think the statement by the AD that was interesting was, if we have to go independent, we will. And I think everyone was like, okay, like from my personal perspective, if you want to go FBS and you're open to joining CUSA or the American or whoever is going to have openings, like that's fine. But to go as an independent and you're Austin Peay and you have that small of an athletic budget, it's like, how are you going to pull this off? Liberty could do it because Liberty has a lot of money to spend. Austin Peay is not that. And so I'm to the point now where, like, I don't really care if teams say they want to go FBS. I understand it, but when you say, well, if we have to go independent, we will, that's like, okay, I don't know if that's the best strategy to go, because you need a lot of money to do that, and it doesn't come with a whole lot of stability either.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, it's kind of been the goal around here for Eastern for a long time. But you have to have somebody invite you to a conference, and that's kind of where EKU's been stuck here for a while. No one's put that olive branch out and said, come with us. But let me ask you something too about the WAC. I've heard some people talking about this, and just kind of scuttlebutt. You'd know more about this than I would. The WAC is grandfathered in, that they somehow could get back up to FBS because they were an FBS entity at some point. Is that a legitimate thing, that they can be grandfathered in and come back and be the 13th FBS conference?
Yeah, I think that might be the one of the angles the ASUN WAC is trying to take. Just the fact that the WAC was an FBS conference at one time. I think the issue with that is, if you have the ASUN WAC, football conference, that's not really the WAC, conference. And so I think that might be a hiccup there, where, yeah, the WAC once was an FBS conference, but the conference that wants to move up to the FBS isn't, necessarily the WAC. It's the ASUN WAC, and it comes with members that are full-time members elsewhere, and they're only playing football in the WAC. And so I think that could be maybe the pathway that they're trying to push. I just don't know if, how realistic that would be.
Yeah. Well, tell people a little bit more about the other side of this, the WAC. Who are going to be the WAC teams, and kind of like they're all pretty much, but Utah and Texas, right? Pretty much.
I believe so. Yeah, I think they're all, I would say, either in Texas or Utah. And you have a couple of teams that are newly to the FCS. You have Tarleton State, you have Utah Tech, formerly known as Dixie State. Is pretty aggressive. I would put them in the same camp as EKU and now Austin Peay, as far as being, it's pretty publicly known that they would like to go FBS. And Tarleton has the money and facilities in place, I think, to make that jump. But the WAC is interesting because, they took Sam Houston from the Southland, and that was, a big time grab. Sam Houston is now left for the FBS, and they've also had kind of a mess of, it was Lamar spent 1 year in the WAC, and then they returned to the Southland. UIW, who was really good this last year, they were set to join the WAC last summer, but 2 weeks before their initial join date, July 1st, whatever it is, UIW said, "Oh, actually, we're going to stay in the Southland." And this was after the WAC already had it scheduled out, and like, wait, you're just not going to join us 2 weeks before you're supposed to? And so the WAC has probably had more instability than the ASUN, just because they've had some teams leave, some teams join and then leave, some teams about to join but not join, and so it's just been. I don't like realignments. I think it gets ugly, and the last thing you want is all of a sudden, you have a lot of teams that don't know if they're going to get an auto bid into the playoffs because they have 3 other members in their conference, and that's why you see the Big South OVC Association, you see the ASUN WAC partnership, and it kind of just gets messy as far as like how the ASUN WAC handled their auto bid into the playoffs. It didn't, and I tweeted it too, like, all respect to those programs. I just felt like it was kind of a kindergarten way to go about getting an auto bid, and it just doesn't feel like Division I football when you're kind of making up rules as you go and say, all right, we're gonna have a partnership now, we're gonna have 2 different conference champions, whoever has the power ranking that goes in the playoffs. It's just not ideal, and so the whole realignment thing I don't like, and hopefully this creates some stability for all those schools where they can we're one conference, one schedule. Let's just move forward as this.
Yeah, we had some guy, I don't even know who he was, making a power rankings based on whatever his own calculations. He had 3 teams basically finished with the same record behind Jacksonville State, who went undefeated in the league but couldn't win the title. And so, EKU basically finished in a 3-way tie but got the auto bid because they beat Bowling Green. I think that's pretty much was the difference there. And then rightfully so. You beat an FBS team, that's definitely worthy of note. We'll flip it over to the ASUN side. Like I said, Gumbert is stepping away. Kind of where do you see the leadership of that league, and kind of where do you see it? Have you heard anything about who the next commissioner is, or anything like that?
At the top of my head, I can't remember if they've named a new commissioner or not. And right now, I don't know how they're going to, because Oliver Luck is the executive director of the ASUN WAC. And he's a big name in sports. I think he was the former commissioner of the XFL. And so he's been around. He knows, the business side of athletics. And so he's the executive director of the ASUN WAC. I don't know how that works between the ASUN commissioner and the WAC commissioner. Are those two commissioners just going to focus on all the other sports, and then Oliver Luck is going to be basically the commissioner of the ASUN WAC, commissioner / executive director? I'm not sure exactly how that leadership is going to pan out, or what exactly they're doing, or if it's going to be 3 people all working together. But it does seem like Oliver Luck is kind of spearheading this effort to not only become an FCS conference, but then to explore avenues to become an FBS conference.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns at this point about all this, and there's a lot of moving parts, and like I said, to get all of these, if you really do want to take this entire conference up to the FBS, it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of effort by a lot of people at a lot of different places.
It is, and you look at some of the teams, and they just they just aren't FBS ready, and whatever with the new Division I transformation, there could be different bylaws and things you need in place to be FBS. Those could adjust a little bit, but there still is attendance requirements and resources requirements and number of sports you sponsor, those type of requirements. I don't know if those are fully going to go away, and a lot of these teams are either pretty low budget or they're just new to playing Division I football. And so I think that's why, more than anything, a lot of people around the FCS, and I'm talking media, fans, and I'm even talking ADs and commissioners, whenever you bring this up, they'll roll their eyes and even go on record and call it absurd that this would actually happen, just because you just look at the group of teams, and some of them are ready to go. EKU is certainly ready to go. Tarleton is probably ready to go, but Austin P, I know they want to. I don't know if they're ready to go. So I think you just look at the collective of teams and you kind of go, okay, really, they're going to all go FBS. If that happens, then why won't the Missouri Valley Football Conference say, well, we have 4 of the top 20 teams in the FCS. The ASUN WAC has 1 team in the top 25. If they're FBS, well, we want to go FBS. And then the Big Sky says, well, we want to go FBS. And then the SWAC says, we want to go FBS. And the next thing you know, you have 40 teams joining the FBS from the FCS, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this is just the FCS 2.0, except we're not playing for playoffs, we're playing for bowl games. Like, what was the point of all of it? And so I just think the floodgates would open, maybe not in a good way, if the ASUN WAC is allowed to go to the FBS as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that the NCAA likes the 2-tiered system, and I think they do want to keep the FCS product a viable product. That, like you said, CAA, Missouri Valley, Big Sky. I mean, if they all went, and then you're kind of left with the FCS just being a collection of kind of has-beens, because the FCS still works very well. They get their playoff games on television, they get playoff money off of that, they get exposure. But like you said, if the floodgates open, and then everybody wants to go up there, and then they certainly don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, I guess, on this.
Yeah, and you could also make the argument that the floodgates are already, if they're not open, they're leaking a little bit. Because I think a lot of teams, like there are some, we talked about EKU, Tarleton, now Austin P, maybe even like a McNeese, like they want to go FBS. But I think there's a lot of teams that if they got the opportunity now, they would go FBS, but they would maybe if you ask them truthfully, like they would prefer to stay in the FCS. I know Montana's AD went on record and said like we need a healthy FCS because it's Division I football. It's a cost effective way of playing Division I football where you don't need huge facilities and you don't need to pump in a bunch of money in your football program, but you can still have an exciting postseason. A healthy FCS is a good thing, but at the same time, if Montana gets an invite to the Mountain West, they're going to go. If anyone else gets an invite to the FBS, they're also going to go because we're getting to a point where you lose 4 top teams to the FBS, and then 5 years later you lose 3 more top teams, and then 2 years later you lose, 2 or 3 more quality teams. All of a sudden, when you're these other FCS teams that want to be top tier, you're kind of looking around and saying, well, there's not a lot of teams left, and so if we have a chance to go FBS, we kind of should take it because we don't want to get left behind. And all of a sudden, 15 years from now, there's even more, top teams, and we missed the boat. And so I think maybe the floodgates are already open as far as I think there's a lot of teams if they got an opportunity to go to the FBS, they would jump now. Whereas 10 years ago, maybe they would have said no to it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and I think that's really exactly the position that EKU finds itself in because the heyday 70s, 80s, 90s, all those teams, schools that were their biggest rivals made that jump. Western Kentucky, Marshall, Middle Tennessee, all those teams went up and kind of, the Colonels were kind of stuck behind. And a lot of the diehard old school fans really wish they would have done this 20 years ago. And they still kind of are still kind of mad about it. But I could kind of wrap up here, kind of tell me a little bit about, you talked to Matt Rowan the other day, but just kind of on the national scene, EKU football obviously made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. It's a program that most people feel like is gaining some momentum, getting some recruiting classes. They got Parker McKinney back for a 6th year at quarterback. Kind of on a national scene, kind of where do the Colonels kind of rank? I mean, it's a program that 2 national championships, but those were 40 years ago, and they haven't won a playoff game since 1994. So kind of on the national scene, kind of where do the Colonels fit in the FCS?
The big storyline after North Dakota State won another national title, the storyline was just the top heaviness of the FCS. And is it just going to be NDSU and South Dakota State at the top for the next decade? And I wrote a story about, these are, I think I listed like 10 teams. Like these are the teams that either have the resources in place or they have the tradition or they have both. They have the support. They have all that in place to, be an FCS contender. And I did put Eastern Kentucky in that group of 10 just because of, the past traditions, the good fan support, pretty good, facilities and one of the more, underrated stadiums, in the FCS. And so I look at EKU as a team that has potential to do better than what they have done in the last, 10 or so years. And last year was a step in the right direction. I think they'll be preseason ranked in the top 25 again. The loss to Gardner-Webb was that might put a sour taste in some voters' mouth as far as, preseason top 25s because Gardner-Webb, came from a weaker conference. But I think they'll be top 25 again, and in my opinion, will be the favorite out of the ASUN WAC to make it back to the playoffs. Parker McKinney is probably a top 3 quarterback, top 2, maybe top 1. I haven't done my quarterback rankings, but he's up there as far as the upper tier quarterbacks in the FCS. I just think EKU has, like I said, potential to do more in the FCS. And I think that's kind of the thing, too, that might rub people around the FCS the wrong way. It's, well, if you believe you have the resources to go to the FBS and you're going to fund your program to go to the FBS, well, in the meantime, can you, become an FCS power? You know what I mean? Like if you're all ready to go FBS in the meantime, compete into the quarterfinals and the semifinals and put more money into football to come up with success. So I think, more than anything that, that's it. If this group of ASUN WAC teams want to fund football more and they have high aspirations, I think that's great. But, even if they don't make it to the FBS, hopefully, they get to a point where they still are funding football in a strong way and they can become more nationally relevant on the FCS national scale.
Yeah, the cynic would certainly say you're so obsessed with going to FBS and you haven't won an FCS playoff game in 28 years. Then it would be like baby steps. It's like Western Kentucky went up right after winning a national championship back in the early 2000s. So, but cynic would say that. We're not cynics here. We're not going to say that. But herosports.com is the place to go to get all the FCS news. You guys do a great job covering that. You got a whole staff full of people. Tell us where we can get a hold of you, all your social media sites and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter at Sam Herder FCS. And so if you want, I guess, a more national FCS feel, give me a follow there. I kind of just, look at everything from a 500, foot view. And so, I couldn't tell you who, X team's starting center, is going to be next year, but I can kind of give you like a 500-foot view of, these are, the projections of this team and here are their star players. And so I'm kind of just covering things from a national level for the FCS.
Yeah. All right. Well, you do a great job, and we appreciate you coming on here, and we appreciate a bigger perspective on this because we obviously look at it just kind of through our little EKU lens here, and it's obviously nice to broaden that out and kind of get a little deeper look at this and get some more perspective. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years as this all plays out.
Yeah. I think it's one of the more fascinating storylines in the FCS off the field storylines, and so it'll be interesting to follow. And I'll try to follow up as well, see if I can get any more updates as far as how they're doing in the process of becoming a legit FCS conference.
All right, well, everybody go follow them on Twitter and check out the great stuff at Hero Sports. They got a whole staff full of people. It's a great organization, and I remember I've been around long enough that remember when you guys started that thing, and at first everybody's like, what is Hero Sports? What is that? But it's grown into a real legit thing with its own top 25 and everything. And it's basically FCS football. That's the place to go if you want a national perspective on things. So Sam, once again, appreciate your perspective and appreciate you taking some time on a Friday to talk to us.
Yeah, this was fun. I appreciate you asking me to be on.
All right. Well, take care. We'll see you soon. Well, once again, appreciate Sam taking the time. He's a busy man. He covers all of FCS football, not just EKU like we do down here. So it's a big job, and so appreciate his time and his perspective. And if you're an EKU fan, there's a lot of stuff there. It's a lot of good information. So hopefully some of the folks out there will check that out and see what they can get out of it. But that'll be our show for the week. As always, we'll be back next Sunday with a brand new show, 9 p.m. We'll have a complete recap of all the week's sports and everything like that. We are live Monday through Friday, usually between 9 and 11 on Facebook with Madison County Sports Night Live. So be sure to check us out there. If you like our Facebook page, it'll tell you when we're live, so you'll get the notification and let you know. So because we never know when we're going to be live, so we just make it up.
Keeps us guessing.
And on Wednesdays we play records.
That's
so
right. Absolutely.
Tune in on Wednesday to see which record we'll play because I don't usually even know. So. But during the week, of course, the best way to keep up with Madison County sports is on our social media sites. Twitter, Richmond R Sports, Facebook, Register Sports, and, of course, our website, richmondregister.com. So hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday night.
Stack of the week.
Miller's Tire and Auto Care. Need to hire experienced technicians, oil change, tire technician, tow truck drivers, exceptional benefits and pay. Drop your resume off at Miller's Tire on the Big Hill Avenue location. The Richmond Register Sports Show is brought to you by MetroNet, super fast internet, simply a better connection. Total Comfort, heating and air conditioning. Let Total Comfort keep you cool or warm this winter. Call for service or for a free replacement quote. Wynn's Auto Detailing Service. Platinum Roofing, Solar and Green Solutions. Voted Richmond's best roofer 7 years in a row. And by kymedia.net, digital media solutions on your terms. Thanks for watching the Richmond Register Sports Show. For more information about all things sports in Madison County, log on to richmondregister.com or on Twitter. And like us, Register Sports on Facebook. Get the Richmond Register directly to your mailbox or get the app online and visit richmondregister.com.